event on anti-aging and detoxification. So, who wants to improve their health tonight? Who wants to increase their energy by 30 to 40%? Improve your sleep. Improve your body's ability to release fat. Of course. These are all the questions that y'all are here for to answer tonight, all right? And Dr. Yacker's going to answer all of these questions for you tonight, all right? So what I want you to do is just answer a few questions for me, all right? So details of this. I'll just give you a few details on Dr. Yacker first off, all right? So Dr. Yacker is an alum of University of Florida. He's also a graduate, 1993 graduate of Life University Chiropractic College. He is certified in non-surgical scoliosis correction. He has been practiced in 23 years in Fort Lauderdale area. Everybody familiar with that? Okay, good. He's been in practice for 23 years in Fort Lauderdale, okay? All right. And he is also the recipient of the DJ Palmer Service Award. Well coveted throughout the chiropractic community, all right? He's also the chiropractor of the year in 1998, 2006, and 2007. He's a consultant for the Miami Dolphins and also another consultant for the Miami Marlins, the baseball team here, all right? So I want you all to get, apologize. So, on top of all of these things, Dr. Yacker is also a devoted husband to his wife, Yvette, and his 3 children, Josh, Leon, and Gavin, okay? So I want you all to stand up for me and help me welcome Dr. Yacker to the stage. All right. There we go.
All right, here's our ritual. Come on, guys, you know how to do it. If you haven't done it, now's the time. Get some energy going. Make believe that you're excited. Make it till you make it. All right. Thank you. Please make yourself comfortable. All right. I just want you to know everything Dr. Nigel just said was not true. I'm an imposter. No. And also that we have R2D2 as a guest in the audience tonight. Who here has the ringtone? I want to get it. I want one. All right, so thanks for being here tonight. This is a different group. This is going to be kind of more like a fireside chat. Unless we have latecomers, I don't know. But I'm excited anyway. We're going to have a good time tonight. How many of you guys, this is your first workshop here in our office? Good, good. Give yourselves a round of applause. And how many of you guys have been here to a workshop before? 2, 3, 4 workshops? Awesome. Keep your hands up if you've been to 10 or more workshops. Keep your hands up if you've been to 20 or more workshops. 30 or more? 40 or more? 50 or more? All right, that's it. The hands went down. So I always like to do that because when you look around, you'll see people who just keep coming back. It's once you come to one workshop, you'll see there's always so much to learn. And you may see the same titles as the years go on, but you'll never learn the same thing. You're always learning and growing. When you stop learning, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you start what? Dying. Yeah, we always have to learn and grow. So these workshops are a challenge for me, and I appreciate you being here because it keeps me accountable to you to keep growing and learning myself. So thank you for being here tonight, for giving me the opportunity to keep learning and growing. I am a perpetual student of life. Turn to your neighbor and say, I am a student of life. Turn to your other neighbor and say, I love learning. All right. I think we have arrived. So, I have a couple of videos I'm going to show you tonight. And I just want to set the tone with this one. I thought this was pretty interesting. This is a 100-year-old cardiologist. We're going to be learning about anti-aging tonight. So I want to show you real examples of people who are actually doing it and what life looks like at 100 and beyond.
Robust would be one way to describe Dr. Ellsworth Warren. The 100-year-old retired heart surgeon occasionally does his own yard work. He walks regularly, still drives.
You drove here today.
Driving is nothing. I worked till I'm 95, assisted, mind you. I could have done heart surgery, but it wouldn't have been fair to the patient because sometimes we reserve strength. If you gave me something to memorize, I would memorize it just quickly now as I would when I was 20. How is your health? Oh, superb. I haven't got an ache or a pain.
The great-grandfather believes his plant-based diet plays a big part in all this.
If your blood cholesterol is under 150, your chances of having a heart attack are pretty small. Now, my blood cholesterol is 117. There's no chance of me having a heart attack.
So you're heart attack proof.
Let us say, I'm dealing in an area which I understand.
Perhaps another key to Wareham's longevity, not letting problems weigh him down.
Well, how big a role does stress play in your life? And
You asked the wrong person. I have a philosophy, you do the best you can, and the things you can't do anything about, don't give any thought to them.
what motivates you nowadays?
I feel that I have to make a contribution. When I was doing surgery, I made it by operating. Now I try to make it by teaching about preventive medicine.
And showing people just what 100 years old can look like. Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN.
Interesting, isn't it? So, what'd you pull out of that? Were there some key things in there? What did somebody hear that impressed them?
No stress.
No stress, exactly. That is a key element of the 100-year lifestyle. That the people who carry the most stress, who are stressed out all the time, it just destroys your immune system, it frazzles your brain, and you know, the mind is interesting from the fact that you can only focus on one thing at a time. If you're focused on stress, you cannot have peace. You either focus on one or the other. And like he said, if you realize it's something that you can't do anything about, you have a choice. You can either just let it go and focus on what you can control and focus on happy thoughts and focus on, you know, managing your stress. And when you get better at that, obviously you have a better chance of living longer. Key factor, guys. What's something else that he mentioned in there? Started with the letter C. That wasn't, not cholesterol. Not the cholesterol. Contribution. Contribution. So, contribution. Listen, I'm not going to go into the cholesterol thing. How many of you guys have been to the Heart Smart Nutrition Workshop? Yeah. He's a cardiologist. He's old school. And all the research that's come out over the last couple of decades show that when your cholesterol is really low, it's worse than it being really high. So, I won't go into that tonight. We'll leave that for another chapter. But the contribution thing is what I wanted to mention, because having a purpose in life is something that drives people to longevity. When you lose your purpose or you retire, so to speak, not that we don't, look forward to that day where we can just kick back and relax a little bit, but I've noticed something, especially with people that I've seen in my family or close people, like accountants, lawyers, and like these people were really mentally active all their lives, and all of a sudden they retire, and all they do is, they'll just play golf or go bowling, and they really don't do anything active with their minds. And what happens? Yeah, they deteriorate very, very quickly. So there is something to the old saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. Yeah, and he clearly kept busy doing surgery or assisting surgery up until he was up until 95, contributing, being utilized, allowing himself to be utilized to contribute to society. That's what retirement is, when you're taken out of service. But to live a life of service gives you a purpose to continue on living and being used to give back to humanity. How many of you guys have a purpose? How many of you guys have a purpose? How many, and you don't have to raise your hand on this, but you know who you are. You wake up in the morning and you just thank God for what He's given you. You thank God that you have a purpose, and you know what your purpose is. You have a vehicle to serve humanity. And it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what your job is, your vocation. Maybe you are retired. Maybe you do other work. Maybe there's charity work. Maybe you volunteer. But at least you know that you have an opportunity to be used for something greater than your own selfishness or self-centeredness or your own wants, right? Not that we can't enjoy what we like to do every once in a while, hobbies, etc., but to be used for something greater. That's a life of purpose. People who live a purpose-filled life have the best chance at longevity. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's why I love that video clip. Now, the other thing that says, the Bible says in Romans 12:2, we must be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that doesn't just speak to your spiritual salvation, it also speaks to your physical salvation as well. Your reality is not exactly what it seems. You guys are looking at me right now. Some of you guys had good days, some of you guys had bad days. Some of you guys look at me, I may remind you of somebody nice in your life, I may remind you of somebody that you hate in your life. You know? But my point is that it's not your reality, it's your perception of reality. Okay, so it's what you think you see about reality. Just got done reading a great book of a retired prisoner of war. He was shot down over Vietnam. And as soon as he was shot down, they captured him and they put him in a bamboo box, a 4x4 box. And his arms were tied back, he broke his shoulders, and he was left to die in a ditch on the side of the road in Vietnam. For 30 days, no food, no water, no people. And he just thought he was going to die. He just gave up. He was like, whatever, I'm ready to go home. And as soon as he said that and he surrendered, it started raining. And as soon as it started raining, all the water just poured off the trees and the leaves in such a way that it dripped right on top of him. And he was able to have enough water to sustain his life until somebody or another troop came by and took him to a concentration camp. But he describes how he actually survived, because mentally people go insane, confined like that. And he described how the last of his freedoms was his freedom to choose his thoughts. And while he was suffering imprisoned in that box, if you can imagine a 4x4 box, tied up like that, with your body just withering away, in pain, if you just can't even imagine, And not only that, to think of your family, that they're going to go on in life without you. So every time he thought about his family, he was like, I can't do that anymore. It brings me such sadness. So he had to force himself to stop thinking about his family. Every time he thought about food, he got hungry, so he had to choose to stop thinking about food. But he made a conscious decision to choose his thoughts, which would bring him peace. And what did he love, Al? Golf. More than anything, he loved golf. And so in his mind, for all that time that he's there, he played golf. In his mind, he played one hole after another hole after another hole. The worst part of his game was the putting. And he worked on his putting more than anything. And he worked on his drives. And he played about 72 holes of golf every single day in his mind. Well, the story closes, by the end of the book, he's being flown home. It's called Freedom Flight. 6 years later, they fly him home. They ask him, where's the first place you want to go? Golf course. He gets out, he goes, listen, I've just been released from camp. Somebody, I need to play golf. Guys got up, they bought him his equipment. He went out on the course and par. He shot par after 6.5 years of not playing one round of golf physically because he did it mentally. Yeah. I mean, it's like, what does par mean? Is that a good game?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's just put it that way. It's like for somebody who hasn't played golf in 6 years. So it's like exceptional. I mean, the point is that your reality is what you see. Your eyes are not receivers; they're projectors. Okay? You see what you believe. That's why your mind has to be transformed first. How many of you guys want to live to 100? Not everybody's raising their hand. So for those of you who have raised your hand, you're off the hook. For those of you who didn't raise your hands, it's okay. I just have another question for you. Why not? Why would you not want to live to 100? If you could, why would you not want to live to 100?
Because then you're really, really old.
Because then you're really old. And when you're really old, what do you think of? What do you think of when you're really old?
The past.
Being unable or disabled. What else?
No money.
No money. What else? You may be a financial burden to your family. What else? What? Imminent death. What else?
Alone.
Disease. Alone. And these are all.
Feeling like crap.
Feeling like crap, hurting in pain. Just go to an assisted nursing facility. You look around and you're like, I don't want to do that. But you look at this retired cardiologist, and what if you could look like him when you're 100? What do you think he did that prevented him from winding up like most of the people that you see in nursing homes? He what? What did he do with his health?
Kept the purpose.
He always took care of it. So what if I had a crystal ball and I said, you know, with the technology that's coming out today, chances are you probably are going to live that long. People are living longer and longer and longer. And if that's the case, when would be a good time to start getting healthy? Now. Exactly, right now. Yeah. So it's time for us to transform the renewing of our mind, not just spiritually, but physically as well. You can do this. You just have to see the future and realize that there's an alternative reality to this. It's not what you may think or seem. It's basically what our healthcare system has given us. It's not a healthcare system, by the way. It's a disease care system. And because we don't live a lifestyle, we live a death style. We basically wait for sickness and disease. We wait for crisis so that we can use our insurance. And what does insurance pay for? Drugs and surgery. There's very little in place to educate us to prevent that and actually help us to live a healthy lifestyle. You guys are sitting here right now to do that. Okay, so that's why it's so important to keep coming back to workshops, to keep learning and growing so that you can keep putting little pieces of the puzzle in place. Are you going to get it all tonight? No. But as time goes on, if you continue along this path, you're going to jump from one fishbowl to the next. What does Proverbs 14:12 say? There's a way that seems right to man, and in the end, it leads to death. That's what it is. That's what it is. A perfect example, you get diagnosed with cancer. They don't correct the cause of cancer. What do they offer as a treatment? Chemotherapy, radiation, medication, whatever it is. The reason why you got cancer in the first place is because your body was sick and weak. And cancer found a nice, ripe host to develop. So instead of correcting that and making your body healthy and starving the cancer out of the body, we add toxins, a chemical cocktail of toxins in the form of chemotherapy. And what does that do to your immune system in your body? Makes it weaker. And what does it do to the likelihood of cancer coming back? Increases it. So it may seem right because the doctor is a nice person, they want to help you, they want to save lives, but in the end it leads to death. Because the cancer industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And even though we do have the cure for cancer, it's not going to be found in commercial medicine because there's way more profit in the treatment of these diseases than there is in the prevention. Okay, so please don't take it the wrong way. You know, if you're a cancer survivor or you have relatives who've made that choice, I accept that. I understand. But you go and do the research and you'll see what I'm saying is true. Very few people who have treatment for these things are long-term survivors. They may reduce, shrink, may go away, but the likelihood of those things coming back are significant. That's just one example. And that is our medical model. And the more you start adopting this lifestyle, which I'm going to teach you today, function, fitness, nutrition, education, ongoingly, you practice a lifestyle instead of a death style, you significantly reduce your risk of sickness and early death. Does that make sense? Okay. So, number one, always make your future bigger than your past. One of the best seminars I invested in was by an entrepreneur who teaches out of Canada by the name of Dan Sullivan. And he always says, every time I hear his podcast, he says, always make your future bigger than your past. What does that mean?
Improve.
Improve. Constant, never-ending improvement. You have a goal. You have something that you're reaching for. You know, when you stop growing, you start dying. So what are you living for? What goals do you have? What dreams are you living for? What achievements have you set up for yourself? Well, you know, what have you achieved? Even if you have disappointments, even if you didn't have your best year or you're not happy with the things, the way they turned out in the past, what are you going to do better? Some of us, we look back and we say, boy, those were the days. That's when I was thin, that's when I was rich, you know, those were the good old days. Hey, you know what? If your good old days were better than your future, you're in trouble. I don't want to be in that position. I always want my future to be bigger than my what? You got it? You got the message? Yeah. Okay, write that down. I want you to go home tonight And I want you to answer that question. Write this down right now. Write this question down. What is my goal? What is my goal? What is my future goal? How do I make my future bigger than my past? That's the question that you should be asking. I want to talk to you about genetics, because how long we live definitely has to do with genetics to some degree, but it's a lot less than people think. There's something called epigenetics, which means if there are genes that you were born with that predispose you to cancer, that may be a reality, but it's a small reality that you will actually be developing or diagnosed with that, unless you allow it to. Same thing with heart disease, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease. They have all these genes that they test people for so that they could try to treat it before it actually occurs. But a lot of the research coming out now is showing that it's very flawed, and they're really throwing darts, and it's not amounting to much right now. The bigger thing that we need to look at is epigenetics. What is epigenetics? Genes can actually be turned on or turned off. Did you know that? And you can do this by lifestyle. So what geneticists are showing today is for degenerative diseases that people die from, which are most commonly what today? What do people, heart disease is the #1 degenerative disease that people die from. What's the second? Cancer, third maybe diabetes, but quickly coming up behind that is Alzheimer's disease. So what geneticists are showing is that the predisposition for that, the chances that you're going to get that, are really no more than 2 to 5%. 95% of it is what you're doing all your life to either turn those genes on or turn them off. And what are those things that determine that? Your lifestyle, yeah. Your lifestyle. You know, your level of toxicity, your level of activity, mentally, physically, and all these other things. Obesity, diet, whether you smoke, drink, alcohol consumption, all of these things are part of something we call lifestyle. And so we can, like I said, either have a death style or we have a lifestyle. A death style would make it almost a certainty that we will have the same type of hereditary disease traits as our parents did. But a lifestyle can really take us in a different direction. 90 to 95% of that is something that we can overrun. Now, there's some really interesting research. This is something that I came upon, which I thought was a really accurate illustration. So this is a scientist who's been doing genetic research. This is a TED Talk that I found. And he's got a brilliant illustration of what that looks like technically in your body when you're either taking care of yourself and living a good lifestyle or a poor lifestyle. So I want you guys to watch this.
There's a new idea about aging, and that is that as we get older, genes are switched on and off in the wrong way. So when we're young, there's a beautiful symphony playing, but as we get older, the instruments, the orchestra starts to play willy-nilly and screw things up. So if we zoom into the cell, you'll see a chromosome, and if we stretch out the chromosome, that's the DNA, all twirled up there in gray. The pink blobs are proteins called histones that the DNA is packaged in. Red means the gene is off. The problem during aging is that chemicals come in and stick to the histones and turn the genes on. So that's what the green lights mean. This gene that should be off in the brain of my grandmother is now coming on, and that's a terrible thing. If this gene happened to be a gene that told the liver to be a liver cell, and now it's on in the brain, you can imagine the problem. And that's what we think may be a large part of what happens during aging. This leads to a really important possibility. We used to think that mutations, these irreversible changes to our DNA, are what cause aging. But in fact, if it's this what we call an epigenetic change, that's reversible. So let me show you how we can reverse it. So these sirtuins, they actually make proteins that I'm going to show a cartoon of. It's going to look like a Pac-Man. And what the sirtuin proteins do in our body is that they clip off these chemical groups, see? And now the gene that was on in the old person, green, goes off again. And that's what the sirtuins are doing in our bodies right now. They're stimulated naturally when we don't eat and when we exercise. And if we eat a large hamburger, we shut them down again because it's not good.
Just like having an army ready to attack in your body. You know, when you're eating good, when you're exercising, when you're eating clean, and you have, good oxygenation, good nerve supply. Those sirtuins, those factors, they come along like Pac-Man, and they just pull the plug on all those things that would cause you to prematurely age. Did everybody see that? But when he said, like, when you eat a hamburger, or you got the bread on there, or the pasta, or the rice, or the potatoes, all of those refined carbohydrates, toxins, trans fats, you know, we have a sedentary lifestyle, smoking, too much alcohol, all that stuff. What does it do? Shuts all that off. And then all that accelerated aging process that you see going on around you with the rest of the world, we become part of that. But clearly, what science is showing is that can be avoided by just keeping your body in balance, giving it what it needs, giving it the fuel that it was created to have, getting the good stuff in and taking the bad stuff out. A lot of these things weren't meant to be in our body. You look at the way they refine grains today. You know, so just take a wheat bread, you know, or rye bread. You look at wheat today, it's still refined. It's still very far removed from all the health benefits that it once has claimed to have. And not to mention white bread and, you know, all the other refined. Anything that's white, flour enriched, all of those things. You guys, you know, we've gone over this before, right? And same thing with the trans fats. Same thing with toxins. When they go into your body doesn't know what to do with that stuff. And so when there's high levels of inflammation, that's when things shut down. And then you're going into a downward spiral, and your genes are taking you where they want to take you instead of you telling them where they need to be. So who's in the driver's seat? Raise your hand and say, I am. That's right. So you're in the driver's seat, it's your health. Part of the problem is that we've been lied to. We tend to believe the nightly news and people who seem to be experts but they're not. And we read things like Time Magazine, we look at that, or we read USA Today, and we read junk science. And so this was the junk science that came out in 1984. What does it say? Cholesterol. And now the bad news. Back then, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, they said cholesterol was causing what? Heart attacks. So that's it. So anything that you can do to bring that down, any food that has cholesterol in it, no good. Eggs, meat, dairy, right? Take that all away. Well, even though the studies had been done decades earlier, it showed that there's no correlation with the food cholesterol that you eat actually increasing your blood cholesterol, they still did that anyway. So they put out that mandate, and then on top of that, they told you to eat a low-fat diet, right? Why did they do that? Because they wanted you to get all the cholesterol out. The problem with that is they threw out the baby with the bathwater. And all of those fats, a lot of them were good for you. Even the saturated fat, which I taught you guys in your Heart Smart Nutrition Workshop. You need all those good fats. The butter, the meat, all those things they told you to get rid of. And those fats are anti-inflammatory. Those fats are what keep your body's cholesterol down. Because when you don't have the cholesterol that you need, and your body's trying to heal itself, the first thing it will make is cholesterol, and your cholesterol levels go up. And that's why 30 years later, they realized that they were wrong. Didn't matter how many cholesterol prescriptions they gave out. Didn't matter how much margarine we sold. Didn't matter all the dietary changes. What happened in the last 30 years? Did less people or more people die from heart attacks? More. We're taking more cholesterol meds than ever. And now the studies out of England and Japan are showing that the people who are taking the cholesterol meds are having far many more heart attacks than the people who didn't, because of the side effects of the medications. So who do we believe? We've been lied to. We've been lied to. And again, you know, it's not the doctors. What it is that it's the food and the drug industry and all the lobbying. You know, the drug companies spend 9 times more on marketing than research and development. Did you guys know that? Yeah. And it's the same for the food industry. Doesn't matter how bad it is for you. They will outspend anyone on making sure that they mask the truth. So if you don't read between the lines, if you don't do your homework, if you don't read the labels, then who do we have to blame? Ourselves. You have to take responsibility for your health. You cannot outsource that to your doctor anymore or your insurance company. We will continue to be lied to generation after generation in the name of profit and greed. Right or right? That'll never change. It never has changed. It doesn't matter how many hundreds of years go by. the economies will always swing in that direction. So here's where we are now. Butter, it's good. Lots of butter. Olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, avocados, almonds, walnuts. You guys need that. You need that. They're anti-inflammatory and they're good for your brain, and it'll help you live longer by preventing Alzheimer's disease. And it'll help prevent cancer, and it'll help prevent heart disease. The reason why we have so much more of that now is because of these dietary recommendations. A good part of it is from that, and some of it is from the medication side effects that we take. Huge mess, huge mess. That's why if we don't get more people to these classes, it just keeps getting worse.
And the same with diabetes too, right?
Same with diabetes, yep. Because the good fats and the oils help actually stabilize blood sugar levels. Yeah. So in addition to that, obviously we got to keep the sugar count down. That'll definitely help. Diabetes, type 2, 100% reversible. Same thing with heart disease, same thing with cancer, all reversible. As long as you get your insulin levels stable and you just do proteins, fruits, and vegetables. Dietary industry don't want it that way, but it's the truth. Proteins, fruits, and vegetables, that paleo diet is right on, guys. Paleo diet is right on, I'm telling you. So the question is your brain on fire? Because if it is, you have high levels of inflammation, then it's not just in your body causing all the aches and pains, it's your brain too. Right, Mary? So the brain, when that goes on fire, where does that come from? All of the trans fats. Not just in the butter, the country crock, or the margarine, right? But in what else? Everything they deep fry. Yeah, so it doesn't matter like if you go to Burger King or Chick-fil-A. Well, Chick-fil-A, I mean, it's a lot healthier, isn't it? I don't know, maybe a little bit, except, when they fry it in the peanut oil. It's a trans fat. And so that's what happens. Same thing with all the sweets we know. What about that bag of popcorn? Come on, is it air popped? Yeah, but look at what they put in there. There's still trans fats. Read the labels, guys. You'd be so surprised at how healthy some foods seem, and then you look at the label and you're going to find the trans fats. All the unnatural stuff. They're toxic. Your body doesn't know what to do with it, so immediately triggers inflammation, causing sickness and disease. So is your brain on fire? Well, if it is, we got to get rid of all the margarines and synthetic butters, hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated oils. What is that? Pretty much anything that's not olive oil or avocado oil, or coconut oil is more than likely a hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated fat or rancid oil. So all these things that we thought were healthy, vegetable oil. It's just vegetable oil. Really? Go down and to the Chinese restaurant and see what they're using. It's vegetable oil. And then see how you feel the next day. Your head feels like it's going to explode because it's hydrogenated and a lot of it is already rancid. Soybean oil, vegetable oils, cottonseed oil, canola oil. That's right, canola oil. Corn oil. That's right. Anything simply labeled vegetable, your spidey senses, your radar should go up. And of course, sugar and refined carbs. This will increase your risk of Alzheimer's anywhere from 2 to 4 times. All right? Raise your hand if you'd like to avoid that. Oh, yeah. All of us. So you got to get rid of the bad oils and put in the what? The good oils. Okay? So what do we say the good oils are? Olive oil. You know how much olive oil I put on my green beans last night? You think I sit there with a spoon and count out the tablespoons? No. I just dumped the whole thing, and my vegetables are swimming in it. I have like a pool of olive oil on my plate that my vegetables are swimming in. Okay? Am I worried about how many grams of fat are in there? Why not? Because does good fat make you fat? No. Good fat helps your body burn fat. So you're getting the healthful benefits of those omegas, which are anti-inflammatory in nature, which you need for your brain, your heart, and everything else, all those other benefits. One more question.
Yeah, real quick. But olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, if you cook it at high heat,
Right.
doesn't it, you gotta keep it at a lower heat?
That's a good point. So if you're doing stir fry or you're cooking it, be very, very careful. You don't want to do it because then it denatures it and it does make it rancid. Excellent point. So the way to do that is if you're going to fry in high heat, coconut oil is the best. Yep. Now, in the interest of time, guys, because I feel like I'm getting a little long-winded tonight, I apologize. I had the least amount of slides. I'm like, I'm still going to go for an hour. So please write down your questions on the back of your notes because I do want to answer them. I'm just going to have you come on up here. We'll do a little Q&A one-on-one as soon as we're done. So let's move on to the next one. So carbs might be linked to buildup of toxic proteins in the brain. Journal of Alzheimer's Disease, 2012. Older people who load up their plates with carbs have nearly 4 times the risk of developing what? Mild cognitive impairments. That's the precursor to Alzheimer's disease. I don't know if you guys feel this though, you know, when you go out for dinner, if you have like the steak and the baked potato, that's what they're talking about, mixing the refined carbs and the proteins. That's when your brain starts to slow down. You have a big pasta meal, your eyelids start getting heavy, you have a big thing of rice, that means you're either pre-diabetic or, you know, that's what they call mild cognitive impairment. It's a precursor to diabetes and also Alzheimer's disease. So what's the better thing to do? Proteins, fruits, and vegetables. If you're going to have those refined carbs, don't have protein with it. Because what they say is it entangles something called the beta amyloid cells in your brain, and it creates this rusting process with the neurons. And so that's why. The refined carbs and the proteins, not a good mix. All right? So toxicity is another thing that we want to look for. Where do you look for? First thing is in the medicine chest. Obviously, prescription and over-the-counter drugs are toxic. Some of them may be a necessity right now, but if you're on prescription medication, how long do you get to take those for? Forever? Yeah. So I'm not okay with that. If I was taking them, I wouldn't be. And you may want to ask yourself the question: if there's a way to reduce or get off of those, what would that strategy be? And if you're not sure, let me know, and we can talk about that. But you know, in paint. Amalgam fillings, if you open up your mouth and you look in the mirror, any of those black fillings are aluminum. And if you have any hot liquids or any sort of rubbing, like if you have a cleaning, what happens with that is you're evaporating mercury. And if you have 1 mercury filling, it exceeds the EPA allowable safety guidelines. So if you have multiple, a consideration should be having some of those extracted. I had a lady recently who had a cleaning, and oh, that was Andrea. She's here. Yes, I don't know. I don't mean to. I forgot that it was you. I was just going to tell the story. I think that's a HIPAA violation. No.
Talk about me.
So she got violently ill, and she missed her appointment. She called from the hospital. Violent projectile vomiting. She had to check into the hospital out of nowhere. 3 days, right? And so we were talking through it, and then all of a sudden she's like, yeah, I was at the dentist. And then it happened like as soon as I left there, right? Did you have your teeth cleaned? Yeah. As soon as you had the teeth cleaned.
Before that.
Yeah.
I had it deep clean before.
Deep cleaning, and so sometimes, you know, whether it's amalgam fillings or they release bacteria, and your body's really toxic, you can have a violent reaction from that. So you got to be careful with that.
The one that had the problem had that black filling in it.
Okay, so it was right where there was a black amalgam filling.
Yeah.
See how powerful toxicity is? It's like waking a sleeping giant. Your body's adapted to it. You may not have any symptoms now, but you open up that Pandora's box and boom, you know, that's how powerful it is. So these are things that we don't normally consider, but hey, for longevity, the sooner you get that out, the better. You know, smoking, you know, all the chemicals, preservatives, additives. You know, I could go on and on. It's just everything's a mystery. Oh, the cosmetics. If you're not looking for alternatives for your cosmetics, that's another thing. There's 900 different carcinogens in cosmetics. And it's not just the cosmetics, it's also your soap, shampoo. All these things have been shown to cause cancer in laboratory animals. So best thing to do is go over to Whole Foods and, you know, get some alternatives. All of the natural products which don't have those chemicals. So again, learn to read the labels if this is of interest to you and you really want to continue on this path. These are some of the things that need to be brought up. The other thing that these toxins do is they destroy antioxidants in your body. And antioxidants are responsible for quenching free radicals. Free radicals that are not absorbed, discarded, destroyed in your body actually turn into cancer, lead to cancer. So I want to talk to you about something called glutathione, and in the scientific community, this is a big word. This is really important. Glutathione is the master antioxidant. Within the detoxification cycle, this is like the major player. And this is the one antioxidant that actually recycles all the other antioxidants. So when this is broken, everything is broken as far as detox goes in your body. The pathways for the liver, for the kidneys, very much depend on this. So these are the things that affect it. Stress, radiation, drugs, pollution, all the free radicals build up, oxidative stress, which is like the rusting process we talked about, buildup of toxins, and it breaks the precursors that allow your body to make the glutathione, which is responsible for destroying the free radicals and detoxing and all those important things to help prevent DNA damage. When there's DNA damage, what happens? Accelerated aging. Does that make sense? Sorry to get so technical on you, but you need what? You need glutathione. And you got to have daily support on that if your immune system's going to be intact. Your detox pathways need to be fully functional all the time. It has to be given consideration. This Dr. David Williams, he said, we've already found dozens of ways to live an extra decade or two in good health. The easiest and surest way, increase your body's supply of what? Glutathione. Glutathione precursors of eat more cruciferous veggies. What are cruciferous veggies? Broccoli, kale, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. You need to eat a couple of pounds of that every day, honestly, in order for that to work right. I have a better solution for you though. But we're talking about repairing DNA damage, cancer, accelerated aging. It prevents all that. So this is basically what I do because I know this is what hits the bullseye. That Metaclear SGS, the SGS component of the Metaclear is what they've added to it, which is the equivalent of 2 pounds of broccoli a day, as far as the antioxidant component of that. The other thing that it has is glutathione precursors in it. It has glutathione, it has N-acetylcysteine, all these things that support phase 2 liver detoxification. It's got a daily multivitamin support, like every multivitamin that you would ever take, like a 1 a day or a GNC or any of that stuff, it's in there. Vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and there's no sugar, no carbs. So it's a perfect protein powder that doesn't have any sugar. So the best thing that you can do with that is like use it as a meal replacement. So in the morning, I have a shake every morning with that. Some of my patients do the fruit smoothie in the morning. Some of them do a vegetable smoothie. You can use it for a vegetable smoothie. There's 2 different flavors. There's chocolate and there's vanilla. So you can get very creative with it. You can put kale and celery and broccoli. You can put all types of stuff in there and make it, any creative way you want. As far as the breakfast goes, this is the breakfast of champions. How many of you guys are doing a smoothie in the morning for breakfast? All right, so you guys have been to the workshops. You know the benefit of it. There's 0 sugar. And what you do is you mix it with coconut oil, or coconut milk, coconut milk or almond milk. You have some fruit in there, like low sugar fruits, like berries, almond butter, and that's your breakfast. As opposed to the white flour-enriched stuff like the croissants and the bread and the Pop-Tarts and all of that, because that's not breakfast, that's dessert. Even cereal, even like Special K or these high-grain cereals, they don't give you energy, they rob you of energy because of the demand it puts on your digestive system. What we should be having for breakfast, guys, is fruit, low-sugar fruits. But on top of that, if you have protein, it'll put you in fat burning. And if you have good fats, it also accelerates fat burning. How many of you guys want to start your day priming the fat burning pump? All of us? Okay, so that's a good reason to do that. So that's why I do this immediately after my workout in the morning, and that's what I ride on. With all those good fats, I don't need to eat for the next 3-4 hours. I don't even think about food after I have that. So I highly recommend that for you guys. Kids, it's good for kids. I mean, if you want to lose weight, it works all across the board. It's like, that's my foundation for making sure that I get good nutrition. On top of that, I take other supplements, but I don't miss a day without that. All right, so let's take a mental break while I have my dynamic staff come on up and help me recognize a couple of people. I can't believe how long-winded I am tonight. I thought I was going to be done by now. Wow.
When?
Not anytime soon, I guess. All right, so we have a special award for somebody here who's been to 6 or more workshops. And Vanna, my lovely assistant Vanna White here, has our University Core 4 degree presented to Maxine Vetter. Everybody give Maxine a big hand. Raise your hand, Maxine. Yes. All right, and the next awards we're going to give are for perfect adjustment attendance. These are for people who have done remarkably well with their adjusting schedule. And we really appreciate and covet that because we love to see you guys get great results. It means a lot to us. So we just want to encourage you and appreciate you for doing such a great job with keeping on schedule with your adjustments. So when I say your name, please stand up. Marilyn Barreto, Valentina as well. You guys can stand up. And Marie Latour, where are you? Oui, Marie. She got held up at work. Okay, everybody give them a big round of applause. Thank you. And a big round of applause for our Elevation Health Team Plantation. Yay. All right, so let's just stand up just for 2 minutes. Take a load off. Turn to your friend or neighbor to the right. And turn to your neighbor to the right and put your hands on their shoulders and squeeze and get some stress out of there. Get some stress out. Squeeze. Good. All right, let's do a karate chop. Good. Karate chiropractic. All right, turn around and do your other neighbor to the other side. Yeah. Good. You guys are doing a great job.
Oh yeah, I'm going to sleep.
Love your neighbor. All right. And a light chop just to finish up there.
Now we know each other really well.
Okay, she's like, let me go.
Okay. Give yourselves a round of applause. Awesome. All right. Heads up. Here comes the shirts. Watch out. Be careful. They're coming. All right, so the show goes on. I have one of my favorite clips. Some of you guys might have seen this because it's been a while since I played it, but most of you probably haven't. If you haven't seen this, you're going to love this one. This is a great one.
Hi, everybody, listen. Last month we had 100-year-old best friends share their secrets to lifelong happiness and friendship. Now, these two women have been friends for 94 years. Can you imagine what you think of the world today if you grew up back in the 30s? Well, we asked them to give us their opinions and their takes on today's pop culture. Very funny, some of the stuff they had to say. Check out Irene and Alice.
I don't know what you're saying. Where you take a picture of yourself and you put it on Facebook. And then everybody see it.
When do you take a picture of yourself?
Oh, they do it. They do it.
I don't.
Oh, no, you don't and I don't. But they do.
Who's they?
I gotta try that sometime.
No pictures taken of me. I didn't have to take my own picture.
Have you heard of it?
The dance?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been so far from the dance floor that I don't know what's going on.
We did the 1, 2, 3 shuffle. I think that we must have looked like what? Yes, 100%. Listen, oh, I am so irritated. I don't know what the hell's going on. It brings out, there's all kinds of things before and you can't call the telephone company. You got some money, I can pick up, answering the phone. So I don't know what happened to good old Illinois Bell telephone. Oh, the kid, the singer?
What do you you think of who?
Justin Bieber, that singer. I think he's in movies, isn't he? He's not doing something right. I don't remember. Am I right? Oh, yeah, but I don't know what it is.
Well, let's go to the next question. That wasn't a very good one. I didn't hear
The baby name, what do you think of the baby name North? North? Whose name is that?
Spell it.
N-O-R-T-H? You're kidding. B-F. Oh, best friends? No. Oh. F. Let's say goodbye. B-F-S.
That's supposed to...
Yeah, some good genes there for sure. That was great, huh? The possibilities, right? All right, so these are some of the supplements that have to do with what we're talking about. Some of the things that you can make application to that really fill in the void and plug up the loose ends, tie up the loose ends that we're talking about, address a lot of these issues. This is Super EPA Pro, which is the EPA supplement. It's a fish oil capsule. There's a lot of medical research that I wanted to share with you. This is Journal of the American Medical Association. They found that heart disease patients who have higher levels of omega-3 fats experience a lower rate of telomere shortening. What is telomeres? Does anybody know what telomeres are? It's the ends of the genes. When they stop replicating, they shorten, and the faster they get shorter, the faster that you're aging, and that's really important for anti-aging. So this helps to modulate that. Really important. It improves brain function. We know that. They've gotten really good results with treating psychiatric patients, bipolar disease, depression. That's been published in medical journals. Helps fight depression. Stabilizes blood sugar, as we talked about. Lowers your blood pressure, your cholesterol. Prevents cancer. I've read studies that they've taken actually breast cancer cells and prostate cancer cells in a petri dish, introduced fish oil capsules or fish oils, and actually halted the progression of regeneration of cancer cells. Promotes healthy skin, natural what? Anti-inflammatory and pain reliever. So absolutely appropriate for what we're talking about tonight. Second thing, very appropriate. And by the way, guys, I take these every day. I take a little bit of these every day. Not just the fish oils. I had 2 of those at lunch. I had 2 of these at lunch also. Reva 500 is also anti-inflammatory, and it's anti-cancer. There's more evidence-based, back-based literature on this than perhaps any other supplement and pharmaceutical, as a matter of fact. And so it's anti-metastatic. It modulates cancer genes to shut them off before they actually become cancerous. It's anti-metastatic, which means it stops cancer cells from spreading. It decreases brain and body inflammation. This is one of the things that I always recommend to my patients, especially if they have arthritis. Arthritis patients, people have knee pain, hip pain, back pain, elbow pain, shoulder pain, just joint pain. Yeah, all the pains. But then you're going to take like a lot more than just a couple a day. You take therapeutic dosages. So these are things that'll help you as well. It's curcumin. It's a spice. It comes from the Indian spice turmeric. So it's all natural. Yeah. And then this one, vitamin D. Vitamin D, if I said vitamin D, what's the first thing that you think of?
Milk.
No, right. So because they told us we need 400 international units to prevent rickets and scurvy, you need strong bones, right? So that was from a long time ago. And what they found, they've done decades worth of research on this, and they missed the bullseye by a long shot. And they said now that because of that, we've got so much more in the way of colds and flus and cancer, because vitamin D is not even a vitamin, it's a hormone. And that's why you need to be out in the sun, and that's why you need vitamin D precursors. And the 400 international units wasn't even close, but when you hit 5,000 international units, which is the little capsule that's in this bottle, you take one of these a day, then you can actually prevent 58,000 cases of breast cancer, 49,000 cases of colon cancer, and 75% of the deaths from these diseases would be prevented. Shows women who are deficient in vitamin D at the time that they're diagnosed with breast cancer 75% more likely to die from the disease than women with sufficient vitamin D levels. Also, the cancer was twice as likely to metastasize when they were deficient in vitamin D. Which race is the most likely to be vitamin D deficient? African American. Yep. So we live in Florida. Why we don't get enough sun, I still don't understand. But nonetheless, it's a good preventative standpoint. Another research study showed that men deficient in vitamin D were 2.5 times more likely to have a heart attack. All right. So, and then the last study showed from a geriatric psychology and neurology journal found that it could help ward off mental decline and prevent Alzheimer's disease. Bang for the buck, guys. I've given you 3. Bang for the buck. The 3 most powerful things that you could do for anti-aging. You do that, and then obviously you have your shake in the morning. I'm telling you everything that I do, so I wouldn't recommend it if I didn't do it.
Can you mix them all at once?
Can you? Yeah.
I know you said wait, but this is something everybody might want to know. Can you mix them all
Throw it down there.
in that shake?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can open up the capsules. You could keep them whole. Throw it down the hatch. Yeah, it's all going to the same place. And the thing is, it's not so much where it goes. It's what happens after it goes in your body. Because not all supplements were created equal. Most capsules that are put together in a laboratory, they use magnesium stearate, magnesium citrate, and all these fillers and binders to keep the laboratory clean. When I flew out to Thorne, I was out like on the other side of the country, all the way up there by the Canadian border in Idaho. I was out there. I went through the facility. It was a mess. It looked like a bomb went off in there. You know why? Because they don't use any binders and fillers. And so when they put those capsules together, it is pure. And it is the most highly bioavailable form on the planet. The purity and the quality and the bioavailability that comes from the Thorne supplements is unmatched. And they were the only ones. There's only I think 2 supplement plants on the planet that ever passed an FDA inspection on their first time. Every other company that gets inspected by the FDA fails multiple times in their plant for quality. But Thorne, they have an impeccable reputation. We've been using them for at least 3 or 4 years now. We're going on our 4th year. That's why we got private labeled with them. So it's not just what goes in, it's how your body can absorb it. If I took the comparable equivalent and it was bound in magnesium stearate, if I opened it up, you would see all of the powder stuck on the surface and not dissolving into the water. But the Thorne stuff just dissolves straight into the water and it becomes part of the mix. And that's what's supposed to happen when it goes in your body. Bioavailability means you can absorb what you're taking. Otherwise, it becomes expensive urine. So that's why we do. Okay, somebody got that. I don't know. I didn't know if it was a joke or not, but it's true. So that's what the supplement suite is. The offer is for you to be incentivized to make application. If you do that, you save money. So the offer is 20% off everything as far as these 4 resources go. The offer's for tonight only. You only get discounts the night of the workshops, and that's the way that we encourage and reward you for being here and taking advantage of that. Anything else is 10% off, but those 4 would be 20% off. Another way you could save money is go online and give us a 5-star rating. How many of you guys would agree you learned something important tonight? Yeah. Who really should be learning about this? Everyone. People at work, people at school. Guess what, guys? I go out and I do this at no charge. We do lunch and learns. So go to talk to your HR director or your wellness director at work. If you have a dozen people, even if you have a small business, I'll show up. I'll bring everybody lunch. Not only give them a healthy lunch, but give them a health talk. 10 or 15 minutes. And we do that every week. We're out in the community doing something somewhere, giving back. And so this is something that we could do. Another thing you could do is go online, give a 5-star review. If you do take a snapshot of it, we'll give you a gift certificate for 25% off any of the supplements up there. So people read reviews, and it's a way that you can help us help other people out there. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. So let's finish up. Honor your symptoms. What does that mean? Dayquil, NyQuil. Pretty soon we're going to have an afternoon quill. People don't like symptoms. ZQuil, yeah. A, B, C. So people don't like symptoms. We've been taught by the commercials that if you have symptoms, it's not good. Take a pill for every ill. Shut off the symptoms. But the reality is that Your symptoms are there to help you. They're here to clean house. So sniffles, sneezes, and fever are good for you. They clear the airways of harmful irritants and allergy substances. Fevers fight bacteria and viruses. Did you guys know that? At 102 degrees, bacteria die. 103 degrees, viruses die. 104 degrees, your body makes interferon, which destroys cancer. And coughing rids the body of bacteria and viruses. If you take fever-reducing drugs, if you take any of these drugs, not only do you shut off the healing process, but you're putting stuff like phenylpropylalanine in your body. These toxins that causes bleeding from the brain, seizures, and stroke, especially in women and children. So that's why you gotta give your body a chance. Let it heal itself. So that comes from Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. Stay fit. Research shows that exercising more than once annually is it's a good idea. So ask your doctor if getting off your butt is good for you. It reduces your risk of developing age-related dementia. The best time to exercise is when? In the morning. Why? A lot of reasons. It turns on fat burning, turns on your metabolism, raises testosterone levels, and growth hormone. Growth hormone is the fountain of youth, guys. The more that pump you can prime, the longer you're going to stay young and enjoy your youth and vitality. So this guy right here, he's 103. Bodybuilder. Still lifts weights. He was Mr. Universe in 1952. And I had a clip, it was just too long, and I knew I wasn't going to have time to show it, so I just wanted you guys to see the pictures of when he was in his prime. And then he stayed active. I mean, this is when he was in the senior competition in his 50s, early 60s, and he stayed active, giving back to the community, and here he is today. Does he have a purpose in his life? Yeah, he's still actively exercising, he's lifting weights, he's priming the testosterone, the growth hormone, the fountain of youth. Human growth hormone, guys. Improves your memory, mental function, reduces your risk of dementia and Alzheimer's, creates muscle stimulation and development. And by the way, that reduces the risk of osteoporosis and bone demineralization. Signals fat burning, energy production, enhances sexual function and performance, increases bone density. So all of these things, guys, these are things that we usually watch leave us as we get older. It doesn't have to be that way. You know, when you don't use it, you lose it. But if you keep using it, you get to keep using it. You don't lose it. So don't just exercise your body, exercise your brain, continue learning and growing. Same thing as we said with your brain, you know, it atrophies if you don't use it, if you don't challenge it. 1 out of 10 people over the age of 65 get Alzheimer's, 1 out of 2 over the age of 85. And this is something that's progressively worsening. Every 70 seconds, Alzheimer's disease is diagnosed. That's over 1,200 a day, the 5th leading cause of death for ages 65 and older. It's pretty sad that most of us in here either have a loved one or a parent that we're probably taking care of that's in one of these categories. Half of us over the age of 85 be caring for a loved one or a parent. Totally preventable. Not genetics, totally preventable. It all has to do with the lifestyle that they led to that point. Is that what you learned tonight? That's it, it's all preventable. So keep learning, keep growing. Next month's workshop, Raising a Healthy, Vibrant Family, Monday, July 25th. That's why I keep saying, keep coming, keep learning, keep growing. Come to 6 or more workshops, you get a discount, we incentivize you. You get a discount off of whatever maintenance plan that you choose at the end of your corrective program.
Mira says 18.
What's that?
Mira says 18.
Yeah, Deborah was supposed to change that, I apologize.
It's 25.
It's the 25th. Yeah, it's the flyer. Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. That's not a problem. So you guys know it's the 25th. Have you ever heard of neuroplasticity? No. Well, what does plastic mean? Bendable, pliable, right? You can do different things with it. And what does neuro mean? Your brain. Yeah, so your brain is plastic. Does that mean, can you really grow new brain cells? And the answer is yes. Yeah. So your brain is like a muscle. And you can actually make it more active, and you can actually build it and improve upon it and make it better. And there are studies that have shown improvement in brain function just with chiropractic care. And one of those studies is in your handout today. So you don't have to read it now, but International Research and Philosophy Symposium, they used 100 volunteers over a 3-year period, demonstrated the brain-boosting effects of chiropractic adjustments using an EEG. After receiving adjustments, they noted brain areas controlling learning, memory, creativity, all those areas of the brain they showed improvement in. So this is very real. For those of you who've been adjusted, you see the benefits, and as time goes on, this is one of the main reasons why you were able to adapt to stress better than the average person. And so it's your nervous system is what's allowing you to adapt to stress. And the stronger your nervous system is, the longer your longevity. And that's just one of the reasons. There's a couple more. But this is really the bullseye. Now you can eat good and you can exercise, but the person who eats good and exercises but has interference in their nerve system, how well do they do health-wise? I remember when Lance Armstrong, before he got arrested, he got diagnosed with cancer. And the first question I asked was he under chiropractic care? I mean, I didn't know that he was on, doing so many drugs, steroids and stuff like that. But here's a guy that was an elite athlete, eating good, exercising, and what does he get? Cancer. I had a gentleman come in from my church, I think a 30-year-old young man, Jamaican guy, and he was sitting right in front of me, and parents brought him in, and it's a stage 4 cancer. And in his history, I'm looking, he's been a vegetarian all of his life, and I mean, he's big, tall, thin, broad-shouldered, well-built guy, athletic build, and so the missing link I'm always looking for is this: what does this person's nervous system look like? Because you can eat good, you can exercise, you can do all these things, but if you've got interference in your nervous system and you don't know that, you're at a severe disadvantage, because that's the one system that runs and regulates everything else. It's the most commonly overlooked secret to longevity. And many of you guys are already aware of that and you're working on this, but I want to teach you just a couple of other things. Journal of Manipulative and Physiologic Therapeutics, a study, they studied 311 chiropractic patients ages 65 and older. And these are people who received maintenance care for how long? 5 years or longer versus healthy citizens the same age. What they found out with these people was, with their maintenance care, they were just seeing a chiropractor on a regular basis just to be preventative. And they saw their chiropractor obviously a lot more than their medical doctor. And at the end of the study, comparing them to people who were not under chiropractic care, they found that these people went to the hospital 60% less, 62% less outpatient surgeries, and 85% less pharmaceutical costs. Now, the average person in the United States is on how many medications? 70% of our population is on at least one medication. Now, you come to the state of Florida and you're a senior citizen, you are on at least 10 to 12. Yeah. And that doesn't get better, that just gets worse. So the most important thing that anybody could do, what studies show, to prevent that or move your life in the opposite direction is what? Get adjusted. Get adjusted on a regular basis for how long? For life, for the rest of your life. Now, you don't have to do that. That's kind of like brushing your teeth. You don't have to brush your teeth, only the ones you want to keep.
Or you want to talk to somebody.
Yeah,
Even better.
exactly. So it's a choice, it's a lifestyle. Exactly, you guys got that. Another study out of the New York University was in 1975. They did this, Dr. Ronald Pirro. He studied the immune systems of cancer patients, non-cancer patients, and non-cancer patients under chiropractic care. How long? 5 years or more. So we're talking about the longer you're under care, the more the benefits that you actually see. This was with cancer prevention, because what does chiropractic care do? Your nervous system controls your immune system, right? And so they found clearly the people who were under chiropractic care had immune systems that were on average 300% stronger than people not under chiropractic care and people who had cancer. Well, how is that possible? Well, your immune system is controlled by your nervous system, right? What are some of the components of the immune system? Your white blood cells, right? Your liver, your spleen, your thymus, bone marrow, all these things. Well, where do all those organs get their nerve supply from? Yeah, the brain sends the messages down. If the nerves are blocked here before they go out to those organs, do those organs get stronger or weaker? Does your immune system get stronger or weaker? It's not rocket science. But the problem is that people generally don't feel when those bones are out of alignment in their back. They think, well, I'll go to a chiropractor. You hear the word chiropractor, what comes to your mind immediately? Neck, back pain, car accidents, right? They don't know. This is no different than a cavity in your tooth. You go to the dentist, they routinely x-ray you because you don't feel the cavity until when? Yeah, after it hurts. Your tooth is already rotted out. Well, what about your spine decay? Maybe a little bit more important, because every organ, cell, tissue, and function in your body is relying on that. So a study from University of Colorado said the weight of a quarter demonstrated a reduction of nerve impulse transmission through there by 50%. You imagine you're losing 50% nerve supply to these organs, and you don't feel it. I'd be concerned about that. And I am concerned about that because the vast majority of our community, men, women, children, do have subluxation. 80% of kids are born, they're showing now medical studies, kids are subluxated the minute that they're born. And that's why they wind up having a lot of ear infections, asthma, allergies. And those are just the A's. There's all types of health challenges. And then you look at all the school shootings, right? And you look at the profile on all these kids. They're not only subluxated, they're medicated on mind-altering medications. And I guarantee you this thing that happened up in Orlando, it's not just an ISIS thing. When they look, and he's got a history, they show of bipolar, you see he's going to have some of these drugs that he was on also. How many of you guys think that he was subluxated? Badly. Really badly. Yep. In the 1940s, B.J. Palmer, the developer of chiropractic, had something called the Clearview Sanitarium. And he took all the mentally ill people, and he brought them in, gave them chiropractic care, fresh vegetables, all organically grown fruits, vegetables, and meals. He had a 60% cure and discharge rate. You know what the average discharge rate is of people who are mentally ill? 0. Yeah. It's in the history books, guys. What an amazing impact we could make on this planet if we could clear people out neurologically. Because then they would be equal to their human potential. Why should somebody not be expressing their God-given potential? Doesn't make sense. It's an injustice. For lack of knowledge, people perish. Yeah. Journal of the American Medical Association, 1957, said, in general, there's a correlation in body structure, health, and span of survival. Generally speaking, the worse your posture, the shorter your life expectancy. If you're working on your posture and making it stronger, the longer you live. That's what they found. And so, for most of you guys, you're already doing this. There's a few of you in the room who are not. You're guests. And what I'm going to offer you today, if you don't have a chiropractor and everything that we said made sense, I'm going to give you an opportunity to have your nervous system checked. After everything that I said, being that it's the most important thing controlling all of your health, would you agree that it's probably a good idea that everybody have a nerve system checkup at least once in their life? At least on a, somewhat of a regular basis.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to do that. How do we do that? Normally we evaluate the nerve system through posture, palpation, range of motion, thermography, sometimes we use x-rays, and that'll show us where the cause of a lot of these problems may be. Fatigue, tiredness, insomnia, poor sleep, chronic colds, flus. A lot of this is from a malfunctioning immune system, a nervous system. Allergies, pain, numbness, tired, weakness, headache, brain fog, poor digestion, depression. If you or your loved ones or anybody you know are suffering from that, and again, they're taking medications, it's not correcting the cause of that. If it's caused by nerve interference, thermography and an evaluation will pick up where it's coming from. And if we unblock the nerves and we have normal neurological functions, that's what a normal scan should look like. Now these are the most common signs that we see with a malfunctioning nerve system, but a lot of you sitting here right now may not have any symptoms. And it's no different in that aspect of going for a regular checkup to your general physician every year. So you do it for performance reason. We take care of performance athletes, elite athletes, and they don't typically have neck or back pain. They want us to adjust them so that they can have the winning edge with their coordination, speed, strength, energy, stamina. And you guys know that every major basketball or football or ice hockey team has a chiropractor. And they do that for performance. And you're in that same game. You always want to be at your best as well. So basically, normally to do all of that testing, if you've never had that done before, it can be upwards of about $350 worth of testing. But my offer tonight, for tonight only, is to have that done, all the testing and the report of findings for only $40. Okay? So that's for tonight only. The offer's only good before you leave. When I leave, the offer leaves with me. And I have a clear conscience because I gave you an opportunity. The biggest thing that stops people from getting their spine checked is procrastination. A wise old man said, procrastination is the thief of health. So that's really the biggest obstacle. I can't change that for you. But if you are serious about applying what we talked about tonight, it's impossible to do all that and leave your spine unchecked or undetected for these interferences. So at the table over there, the doctors, Dr. Denson, Dr. Maurice, they're going to be over there. And if you'd like to make an appointment, go ahead and do that. Take care of the 40. They'll make the appointment for you. They'll give you everything that you need. We'll get you set up for sometime this week. And then I'll meet with you and see what we can do. And obviously we'll get some detailed information on your health status. And other than that, make sure you get credit for tonight's workshop and get on, ask them about the supplements, see what we have. We have limited quantities, so if you want to get that stuff, go ahead up front. And then don't forget to dial in next month's workshop. It's on the 25th. Don't forget the 25th. Thank you for being here, guys. I love and appreciate you. God bless.